Okay, but that way you can watch the videos if you ever need to catch up, having missed something. And I'll send it in a link to email for all students today as well. Okay, so when it comes to that pre-assessment, right, I tried to give you feedback much like I would on an actual test. And also I graded it using the rubric that I did. So if you're confused what those numbers mean, go look at the rubric that I gave you at the beginning of the year and that we discussed at the beginning of the year. This one. Right? There was a rubric from -1 up to 6. Once you get to the 3s, it starts going by half-point increments as well. So this rubric will tell you how correct you got the question / how strong your justification was. And so I will say this. Some of us, I've already seen, know way more than we give ourselves credit for. Put the jacket down. Get ready for class. Thank you, sir. Alright, so I've already seen some of us getting frustrated in the math class even though you actually know stuff. And even if you didn't get a whole bunch of these correct, what I need you to understand is this is a great thing to look at and say, okay, this is where I am coming into Mr. Kinney's class. Let's see where I can get by the end. Because it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you end up. Put in the effort to grow throughout the year. Sound good? All right. Now, let's start looking at the bell ringer questions. We got a whole bunch of, not a whole bunch, we got several 7s. And then after that, we kind of got all over the place. So, let's see what would be correct. How should I start this problem? What should I do first? What you got, Matthew?
Parentheses.
Okay, so what am I going to do inside those parentheses? Am I going to square the x plus 5?
No, you gotta put -5 over x.
Over it? Okay, what word are you trying to use?
Substitute.
Substitute, right? We need to remember that term. If x is equal to -5, what can -5 be substituted in for? Hold on a second. Anton, you remember at the beginning of class when you said, hey, Mr. Kinney, I don't know how to do this? And now you're making a paper airplane instead of paying attention, taking some notes? Doesn't sound very smart, does it? That's literally why I gave you a sheet of paper. Thank you, sir. So, -5 can be substituted in for x. Is it just going to be substituted in right here?
Nope.
Nope. It's going to be substituted in everywhere there's an x. Before I even start trying to simplify, I'm going to substitute everything in. What's going to get substituted in for n? Okay, so I've got -2 times -2. Divided by 4 plus -2 minus -5. And there's a lot of negatives in there. That part can get confusing, I understand. But I hope, especially after today, that every one of us can substitute those numbers in. Is that something we think we can do?
Yeah.
We can substitute the -5 and the -2 in.
Yes.
Now be careful when you do that, because notice I'm adding a negative now. I'm subtracting 2 times a -2. I'm subtracting a -5. It's important to recognize those kind of details. Alright? So, Alicia, what am I going to do after that step? What am I going to do next?
What are you going to do after that stuff?
Okay, I'm calling on you next, and I'm going to come back. London, what do we do now? Okay, now I got to ask you, this is important. Is parentheses an operation?
No.
It's what's inside it, right? So we're going to do the stuff grouped together. Y'all, make sure your phones are upside down if you have that flash going. Okay, so make sure that we're doing what is grouped together first. So yeah, the -5 plus 5 is grouped together first. What is that? What's -5 plus 5? 0. Notice you can do some of this stuff by hand pretty easily. Does anyone see anything else that is grouped together that I could go ahead and do in this step? Sure? Isn't that grouped in the denominator together?
Yes.
There's no parentheses around it, but is it grouped together?
Yes.
So could I just go ahead and do 4 plus -2?
Yes.
Even if you didn't know what that was, what can you use to help figure out what 4 plus negative 2 is?
Calculator.
Thank you. What is 4 plus negative 2?
2.
It's 2. Alright. What do I need to do next?
What we
So you do, divide positive 2.
So remember, in general, what's the order of operations?
First is exponent.
P, M, D, A, S. But like, what does that P stand for again? Parentheses. But really, when we say parentheses, what do we mean? A group, right? Is there anything grouped together right now that I should probably do before I divide by 2?
Yes.
What's being grouped together?
2 times negative 2.
Yeah.
And not just that, but
0.
isn't all of this understood to be together? Right? That's a thing we need to practice and recognize. Alright? So, Alicia, what am I going to get when I grouped that numerator together? What's your question? That's a 0 minus 2 times negative 2. The negative goes in front. So what would we get, Alicia? Say again? You don't know? Do you know something you could use to figure it out? Nothing? There's nothing that you're like almost leaning on right now that could help you figure out? Guys, I'm not trying to make you like really struggle here. You can use a calculator as long as you recognize that that needs to be grouped together. Use a calculator. It's literally 0 minus 2 times negative 2. Is it 4? Lalicia, are you getting 4 when you plug that in?
I'm trying to, but
Let me see.
I can do it with my nails just annoying.
It's 4? Okay? Really quickly, because this should help us get there right away. What's a negative times a negative? So that's literally the same as 0 plus 4 divided by 2, which is 4. 4 divided by 2, which is
2.
Remember, we got to do the division before we subtract. And when I subtract a negative, that becomes positive adding, right? So who was correct? 7, negative 3, 3, 12, 7, right? We good with that idea? Please hear me very clearly. Only 4 of us got that right now. I'm okay with that. What I need you to do is I need you to learn from your mistakes and get better at it. It doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you end up. Most of us were wrong. That's cool. It's day like 3 of us actually doing math in here. Learn from your mistakes, grow and get better. You gotta put in the effort. Okay, now this next one we should have some background on, okay? So Francis went to a graduation party recently at which the graduate ate 3 slices of pizza, but everyone else only had 2 slices of pizza. Then if 51 slices of pizza were eaten, then how many people were at the party? Now, please notice that was not the final question. We gotta make sure we scroll all the way through. It says an equation for this scenario is 3 plus 2p is equal to 51. Identify what p represents, and then why 2 is multiplied by p. Did I ever ask you to solve this problem?
No.
Nope. We'll come back to the answers that we have here in a second. Someone said, how, man? Is that person thinking I was asking you to solve? No one's willing to fess up? Okay. Notice I'm not asking you to solve. I'm just asking you, hey, what is p? So I see here where someone said because each person had 2 slices. I think that was about being multiplied by p. P represents 2. Now, would p represent 2?
No.
Why not?
Because 2 is
That's
Already
what
up
it's
there represented.
2's already up there and represented. We know what 2 is. So do we need a variable to represent that? No. Notice the 2 is being multiplied by the p. So be careful about that. Okay, so p represents how many people are at the party. P represents the number of people at something. What else does that say? Okay.
Is anybody gonna take a picture for the yearbook that has on red, white, and blue, or football? No?
Okay. So I see a lot of us did try to solve it. Apparently not everyone finished this, but not many of us really figured out what P represents. Based on the people who put answers up here, what do you think P represents? Say again, Zaria. People at the party?
No,
One person said
how many pieces of pizza people had at the party?
Well, we know how many
Yeah, we
pieces of
know
pizza
how
they
How
had.
many people was at the party?
It's as the P is. I said the P was how many people because we already got all the other information.
Okay, we already have a lot of the other information, right? We know that how many pieces of pizza did everyone eat?
2.
2. Okay? We know how many total slices were eaten. 51. We know that the first person, or the graduate, ate 3 slices. Literally, what does the question ask?
How many people were at the party?
How many people were at the party? Now, I definitely get why someone might think that it's how many total people are at the party, but I want you to think about it. We know one person who was at the party. Who was it? The graduate. We know there's a graduate, right?
Oh, yeah.
So does that person get counted in that variable?
No.
No, we already know that person. So is P the number of people at the
No.
party total? No. It's the number of unknown people, which would be that graduate's,
Friends?
yes, friends. So friends at the party?
People were friends.
Really quickly. For those of us who got that P equals 24, were we really confused why 2 of us said that it was actually 25? How many friends were at the party? 24. How many people were at the party though? 25. Right? Because you forgot to include that graduate. Does that make sense?
Yup.
But in looking up here, no one actually answered the question of why is 2 being multiplied by P. Say again? Because they were adding, getting closer.
2 slices of pizza for each person.
It is 2 slices of pizza for each person.
They was adding his 3 pieces plus the 2 pieces that the other guys ate.
You get closer, and yes, it's because there are 2 pieces of pizza per person, which means we're doing what with that 2 repeatedly?
We're repeatedly adding.
Repeatedly adding. If there is multiplication, there's also repeated what? Addition. Every person, yes, you only had 2 slices of pizza, so 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 an unknown number of times. Y'all, if I'm asking why are these things being multiplied, you need to talk about what idea. Yes, because they're multiplied, but what needs to happen in order to have that repeat, or to have that multiplication? Repeated addition. We gotta see that every time. If I'm talking about why is this multiplication here, it's because we're repeatedly adding. Alright, we gotta move quicker to get back to equations. Ooh, we got a little bit more consistent today. Alright, so what is the typical number of wrecks students at Hillcrest High School have had? I don't think most of us can drive. So a handful of us might be able to. But maybe there's just wrecks that we've been in general. Only one student here thought that this was categorical. The rest thought numerical. Okay? Which one is it? It's numerical. Why is it numerical and not categorical?
Because it's not category.
It's not talking about a category. It's literally talking about a number, right? Okay? We might average that number to get the typical, right? But we're a little split on whether it's statistical or non-statistical. Anton, I heard you pretty emphatic that you think it's C. Why do you think it's a non-statistical question? Because nobody's had no wrecks? I mean, I've been in 2 wrecks.
It's a really good question.
But you said stupid.
No, it's not statistical.
You didn't say
It's not really close.
I did students, okay. But no, has anyone in here been in a wreck before?
Yeah, but that's it.
At Hill, Chris.
At the school.
No, students at Hillcrest High School. Now, I'm not saying at the school. I'm saying students from Hillcrest.
Well, you didn't
Right.
be specific.
Exactly. That's all
I can guarantee you there have been students who have had wrecks at the school as well.
I ain't gonna have rickets too, man.
And sometimes,
It's happened. Okay.
sometimes your
Hey.
cousins can't drive and hit other folks.
In that parking lot.
Okay, so instead of trying to argue, in this classroom, do we have a different number, or have people been in different numbers of wrecks?
Yeah.
Some of us haven't been in a wreck at all. Some of us have definitely been in wrecks. So, is there variability in the number of wrecks students at Hillcrest High School have been in?
Yeah.
Maybe, and by maybe we mean
Yeah.
yes. Yes. How many wrecks have you been in your life? None? Kelsey, how many wrecks have you been in your life? One. Alright, Jalen, how many wrecks have you been in your life?
35.
0.
This is sensitive,
Okay.
sensitive subject.
I'm not saying like how many cars have you wrecked, I'm just saying have you been. Okay? Brandon, have you been in wrecks? How many have you been in? 2. Just in this class, I've asked 4 people, and I've had 3 different answers. Is there variability in the responses there?
Yeah.
Is that a statistical question?
Oh.
Yes!
That's what it's saying.
You'll get the question wrong on quizzes and tests if you decide not to learn.
Y'all know y'all get a penny at a dime from you. We ain't been on you. We know we ain't been on no money. Sorry.
Hey, let's shut it down. Okay, so really quickly, we're going to look at a couple of examples of justification, and then we're going to get back to the equations and inequalities review. Equations and inequalities is something you studied in middle school, or if you've taken Algebra 1 already, you've already studied here in high school. Alright? So, I don't think I assigned any homework yet, have I?
Yes.
Besides the 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
What did I give you?
Research. Yeah.
Research of what?
Life.
Equivalent and pressure.
I didn't assign research of anything. Alright, anyways. Anton just likes to talk, apparently. So we're going to get back to equations and inequalities. We're not going to have a break for homework, but I do want to give you all about a 3-minute break just to sit and decompress in the middle of class. No, not in 3 minutes. Alright. So let's look at a couple examples of justification so you can start to see what I am looking for. You got your pre-assessments back. I tried to grade them and give some feedback. This is a student I had last year. If you notice, there are 5s and 6s and 5.5s all over the paper. There is a 2.5 right here. But what I want you to see more than anything else is that they showed their work. But they didn't just show their work. Right here, notice where they have x minus 3 times x plus 3. You haven't done this yet for many of us. However, notice how they showed some work right here. But then also up here, they have 3 words. Distribute the binomial. Not only has this student shown me work that makes me think, okay, they probably know it, they use proper mathematical vocabulary to explain, I know exactly what I'm doing here. That's what I'm going to be looking for, is your ability to do that. Notice how he scored a 6 on that answer. That one is, yes ma'am.
I don't feel like that's fair for us because we didn't know we were supposed to use.
Hold up. That was just a pre-assessment. That's not going in the grade book.
But still.
Come on, man.
But sorry, I already told y'all, I graded it so that you can start to see what I'm going to be expecting and how I'm grading it. I know that grade's not going in the grade book.
Go
My
ahead,
grade good.
go ahead and explain yourself to finish your list.
Man, that's not gonna
So what do you
too.
I ain't trying.
I can tell. So, notice how he's showing his explanation there. Even over here, right, this is something we have just started doing of substituting values in for x. And he shows us the work here, but not only does he show the work, he says substitute 4 for x and proceed to solve using order of operations. Notice he had one small mistake in there. You're not solving in this case, you're simplifying. By him justifying his answer, I was able to help correct him so that he could learn to do it better in the future. The rubric is not to just say, hey, you need to justify and it sucks to suck, here you go. The point is that when you are justifying, I can see how well you really understand it, so I can give you more feedback. Notice here, and so I even gave more here, on this 2.5, he had a little bit of work here, but I've made notes here and here so that he could do better next time around. When I ask you to justify, it's for your good because you can learn and grow from your mistakes. Right, Dee Dee?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, pay attention.
What you talking about? I ain't paying attention.
No, you didn't even know I was talking to you until just then. So here's another student, right? Notice 6s and 5.5. Yet here they put quotation marks as if to indicate that they're justifying it that way. But you notice here where they have the least amount of justification, they also scored the lowest. That's partially because when you have to justify, you have to think through what am I actually doing, which is going to force you to think better and give you a better chance of getting the answer right. So it's important to show your justification and your reasoning. Alright? Just looking here at the end, I also want to point this out. Both of these students got number 6 completely wrong. This student got a -1. Why is that?
Because they show no work.
They didn't show any justification. There's no work to show here. You had to explain something. No explanation. This student had some correct ideas. And so they got a 1.5 instead of a -1. And also, note how I gave some explanation correction here. I'm always going to do that because it's not about getting a grade. It's about getting feedback so that you can improve your understanding. Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
I feel like I just spent like 5 minutes explaining that.
I know that, but I'm just saying,
Well, one, I'm trying to give you partial credit, but two, hey, really quickly, how many of us in here legitimately plan on using Algebra 2, pre-calculus, or calculus in life after high school? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe? So listen up. I got 5 out of 30 students that plan on using math in a career after high school. However, how many of you are going to have to talk with people in your day-to-day life? How many of you are going to have to explain your ideas to other people in your day-to-day life? All 28 of you should have your hands raised. I don't care who you are, you will have to be able to justify your ideas in any career that you go into. This is getting you ready for whatever you go into. I'm not just teaching you math, I'm teaching you life skills so you can be prepared for life after high school.
So this was the one that she said
No, she didn't even want to be
like,
like
hey,
that.
how you doing, right?
When she started coaching around on look, she wasn't just talking about it.
Pull up.
I know he was up and sleep. Now he can swing back and punch him, y'all like, y'all know that him.
Alright, so let's get back to lesson 6. No, y'all are on the applications of equations and talking about solutions, right?
What's that? What can we do?
The sheet of paper you got yesterday.
I literally said air. You told us yesterday air movie.
What paper we got?
That's a whole
I
lot.
told you said this was a bad movie.
Hey, Kelsey, how many movies did you watch in my class last year?
I'm not saying that.
How many?
0.
0. You know how many you're going to watch in my class this year? 0, because we got some math to learn. Why you gotta lie about me like that?
I ain't lying, and telling about what you talking about.
Alright. While I am sending the file back out to you from yesterday, would one person volunteer to read our first objective today? Dee, the first objective, go.
Explain what the term solution means and apply the definition.
Okay.
Well, hold on. I can explain what the term solution means and apply the definition.
Okay.
Go shut up.
Oh, that's not what I meant to say. Hey, I just said something to you, ignore
I know I
it.
missed the word.
That ain't kind of good. Anybody read on you?
Oh no, I never seen collected. Okay.
Oh, boy, you just pop yourself in the back like that? That's crazy.
Hey, I just want you to remember, I am recording the class, so if I see you doing dumb stuff, I can catch it. Quit doing dumb stuff.
I know what you mean. I
Easy. Okay. Sorry, I just deleted the file off your calculator. What I need you to do, because I didn't collect it yesterday, is go to browse. So if you're in the home, go to browse.
We got a
I
browse.
got it today.
Okay.
We got a browse.
Well, what class are you in?
We in math.
We in geometry with data now.
You're in geometry with data analysis, fall, 4th block.
This is.
Yeah, no.
It won't run that. No, this your calculator. I did. I know.
Alright? So once you get into the geometry with data analysis, you should see that it says applications with equations. Of equations, whatever it says. No. Go to browse. Listen to directions.
You got me on
No, go to home. Go to browse. Go to applications of equations.
I got sneeze.
You need me to throw that one? It should be the applications of equations that you did yesterday. Are we all there? I literally already saw it. Yeah. You hit enter.
I did, it went down to that one.
You must have deleted it accidentally. Send it back out to you. Does anyone else need me to come look at their calculators to see the file?
Yeah, that's right.
Just for us? Why do you have to find two? There's only one file. Okay, I'll look at his in a second. Y'all need it as well. Did you go to browse?
Yeah, I went to browse.
Did you go to geometry data analysis? Did you hit enter? Do you see applications of equations?
Hey, somebody call me the name.
Yeah, I got
Okay,
Somebody
stop. Dee, stop.
call me.
So, Dee already read that we want to be able to explain what the term solution means and apply that definition. Finally, we need to create and explain an equation meant to represent a real world problem. I think that's where we ended yesterday, is it not?
I thought we was
Yes. It was on the back side of the paper.
I thought we was on another question. I don't know who's gonna push.
Pretty sure we were on this question, right? Where Sarah ordered some flowers.
No, we did it.
Did we already go over this one?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
We went over it.
Stop. Pause. Hey, you're all talking over each other. Okay, stop. Raise your hand if you remember me going over this question.
We was
So we don't do that with them.
no, we was on six.
Cause I woke up, we didn't get to
He was
finish.
going over it.
I didn't say we finished. Did we get started on it?
Yeah.
Okay, did we start going over it on the board or were you just working on it in your groups? You were in groups, that's what I thought. So we're going to get back to number 6 right now. Don't forget, Sarah's ordering flowers from an online florist by the dozen. That means there's 12 flowers in every dozen. The special that week included an additional 10 flowers with each flower ordered. So whether she orders 5 dozen or 100 dozen, how many total extra flowers is she going to get? 10. She gets one set of extra 10, right? Or one extra set of 10. Alright. Is there anyone who's unclear on what we're supposed to be doing? I will come and check your calculators in a second if you still need help with it, but let's get to work. If I see you on the front of your watch, and you start bringing up the beginning of class, okay?
I ain't got my
But you're still getting distracted by the watch.